Okay, so yesterday we started in with talking about the final, which if you were not here, make sure you look at the final. So if you have questions, you are asking those questions. The final is a pretty big deal and is broken up into parts. The first part of the final is due next week, so next Friday. Make sure you look that over, and if you have any questions about it, let me know. Then we also mentioned a bigger project that is kind of an ongoing project that is a field guide, and the field guide you will be able to use on your field identification test. So the field guide is another one of those big kind of long-term projects that you will need to be working on. It's not due until the end of the semester, but because it's worth a lot of points and you're going to have a lot of time to work on it, that means I'm also going to expect good results from you. And you'll be able to use your field guide on your field test. So yesterday we started talking about how to identify animals and plants, and like tips and tricks for how to do that. So we left off with this slide about bird identification, because that is going to be part of your field test, is identifying birds, bird calls, and bird visually. So when we do our field test, we'll basically take a day and go walk outside, and I will point out things. They might be plants, they might be animals, they might be bird calls, and I will say, identify this, identify that bird call. This is number one, what is this? And you can use your field guide to assist you, or if you are just very brilliant, you'll be able to identify it without your field guide. So we already mentioned the things on this slide, so we will go ahead and move to the next. There are key ways that you can identify birds. The location of the bird, the call that it is making, the silhouette of the bird. Sometimes if the bird is far away, you're not going to be able to look at the color right away, but there are flashes of color that you can catch from the bird to help you identify it as it's flying. Now, bird identification is probably one of the ones that we're going to focus on a lot, because think about it. When you go outside, a bird is probably what you're going to see. I mean, maybe a cow, obviously. But birds are the wild animal that you're going to encounter most frequently. Whether it is a bird call or whether it is a bird you see flying across the sky. These are the ones we're going to run into most often. So that's why they're going to definitely appear on your bird call or on your field test. So it is important that you're able to identify some of the main ones that we have here in Harrisburg. Now, obviously, we're not going to identify every bird in Missouri, but I am going to do my best to teach you the common ones, and that's what I've been trying to do on our outings when we go to the outdoor classroom or just walk around the school. Identifying birds by silhouette is a good habit to get into. There are distinctive features that you can look for by just looking at a bird in the distance. You can't always rely on color. For instance, a bird that walks down a tree like this, you can automatically assume it's a nuthatch, because nuthatches are the only birds that can walk down a tree. Owls are larger and they have kind of pointy ears and this flat-topped head. Shorebirds typically have longer legs for walking across the shore. This is a swallow, and barn swallows specifically have pointy tails. Sparrows are short with short kind of pointy beaks. And then wrens typically have a tail that's a little upturned, and their faces are kind of upturned. Woodpeckers, most people can identify because they perch on the side of a tree like this. So learning to identify the silhouette of a bird is a good way to start, because again, you might not always be able to see the color of a bird, and you might just be able to get a glimpse of it. So here are some other examples of how to look at the silhouette of a bird, but not only that, learning to look at the location. Hawks and geese are often going to be seen flying. Obviously, you're going to see geese as well next to a pond or a body of water. They're not often going to be far from a pond or a body of water. Hawks are going to be someplace high. Most of the time they're going to perch on something so that they can see a field in the distance and they have a good view so that they can locate prey on the ground. Not every morning, most mornings when I drive up J Highway over by Midway, from I-70 and Midway, there is a hawk that sits on the power line there most mornings. I've named him Henry. I don't know why I decided on Henry the hawk. But he always sits in the same place on the power line, and he surveys this field to look for rodents or rabbits or whatever. And he is always in the same spot about 2 to 3 times every week. So Henry the hawk checks out his field in the mornings.
This is, I got a video to show you.
What's the video?
Just
I have a genuine question before his video.
What's your genuine question?
Well, is there going to be like some level of specificness that you tell us what we're gonna need to identify in the field guide? Like you give us a somewhat broad range of the types of birds.
There's a list.
Okay. Okay. I thought you said something about that yesterday, but I couldn't remember.
The list is in Google Classroom.
Okay.
Well,
thank you.
it's on your it's on the field guide, I believe.
Okay.
Like there should be a list on the
There's some of the video. You know Finger Lakes? You know the
Yes.
conservation area?
Mhm.
So I'm back there walking around scanning for turkeys. And these deer freaking up at me, like 5 yards away. They didn't see me. I had a camo hoodie on. But I could like grab the one.
It's really close.
They
Like
were
almost
really
attached to
stupid.
He's just ringing the neck of you.
I found a deer shed too. I found a dead buck, but it didn't have tamper on it.
That was really close.
Because you know it's a book.
So looking at the location of the different birds is also, of course, going to give you a hint whether it's on the ground, whether it's low down, or whether it's up in a high tree, or whether it's soaring in the air. Turkey vultures are a really easy one to identify. They often just soar, so that will be one that we can easily identify even from a distance. We can just spot a turkey vulture and say, okay, that's going to be question 2 on your test because you can identify those even far off. Here are a couple really common ones that we're likely to see. I have already heard cardinals.
Wait, mister. Pointed one, and we're gonna tell you the name.
Okay.
I can't read that, so give us one that's in the air.
This one's easy.
It's a blue jay.
That's
Blue jay.
Mordecai.
Okay, what about that one?
Bluebird.
State bird.
Bluebird.
Bluebird, eastern bluebird.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
That's a robin.
Robin.
That's a dove.
Morning dove to be precise. What about that one?
Gamble.
You can read that.
No, it's not right.
Ah.
Starts with a G though.
Gorilla.
Starts with a G.
Gobbler.
Growth. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I can't.
I've never seen
Grackle.
that bird in my life.
Common grackle. They're actually really common.
Super common, I guess.
Yeah, grackle.
I see one.
You look like
Grackle.
Familiar with.
What about this one? This one's really common around
That's a
here.
blackbird.
Blackbird.
More specifically,
Red
Red
wing.
wing.
red-winged blackbird.
Go.
What about that? These
That's-
aren't super common around
That's an
here.
American goldfinch.
Shut up, you can read it.
I could read the American part, but I already knew it was a goldfinch.
It
I
was
like
a
those
goldfinch.
birds.
This one.
A sparrow. A horned sparrow.
Male or female?
That's a
Male.
female, because it's less red.
This is a male. Males
Ah,
have,
just more red.
I thought it was like
the
turkey.
males have the black spot under their chin. Females are completely brown. Let's see. What about
Cardinal.
this one here?
Tufted titmouse.
Is, but you could also read that one.
Oh no, I guess.
What about about that one?
You know about this. That is not a real bird. That thing is
Red
a pig.
herring.
Red finch.
House fish.
Strawberry Jolly Rancher.
Strawberry jellyfish. The house fish.
Strawberry finch.
So, Warren.
It's a jello finch.
I bet you touch fish.
House
touch
fish.
each other.
What about that one?
Woodpecker.
Oh, it's a woodpecker.
It is a woodpecker.
Rudolph the woodpecker.
Honestly, I'm not sure which kind.
Red
Woody,
billed.
Woody woodpecker?
What does it say?
Red billed, I think.
Redheaded? No, not redheaded.
Red bill.
Red bill.
That's what I said.
Alright.
What about that one?
Henry. Henry the woodpecker.
It's also a woodpecker, but I can't read what
Harry.
hairy woodpecker.
Nice.
Harry Potter.
What about this one? Did we do this one?
Chickadee.
Harry woodpecker.
Specifically a.
Harry wood.
It is a chickadee.
Carolina.
Carolina chickadee.
Carolina Reaper.
Oh, I just guessed it was a chickadee.
It is a chickadee.
Hey.
That looks
Committed to
What about that
Missouri
one?
Southern
Dog.
State University.
No.
black, dark eyed.
Fish.
Dark eyed.
Something.
Crow.
Junco.
I can't even read it. Did you hear me?
Junco.
Junco.
Cooper Francis committed to Missouri.
Crow,
Southern
American
State
crow.
University.
American crow. Yeah, we do have crows.
European starling.
Where's the star? Oh, this one. Yeah, the starling. The
Nice.
starling and the grackle surprisingly get confused. When you look at them up close, they actually look surprisingly different, but from a distance, they look similar. So the way you can tell them apart pretty easily is a grackle has a black beak and a starling has a yellow beak. But again, when you're just looking at them, like even from here, from a distance, they look kind of similar.
Yeah, they kind of
Wait,
have the
are we
same.
gonna get like
Yeah.
binoculars when we identify these birds?
I have a few binoculars, but I don't have a lot, so you're welcome to bring your own binoculars if you have some and leave them in the
Come
classroom.
in handy.
But I have a few.
Crystal clear vision.
So yes, you can bring binoculars and I can keep them here or you can keep them in your vehicle.
You don't like hear
What's
them
the
call
one
out.
sparrow?
Press like Y and identify what it is.
Yeah.
This one?
Under blue
Like
jay.
those buttons.
Exactly.
Under
That
blue
is
jay?
That one.
That is a
I
2
can't read it. There's a lot of different kinds of sparrows.
It looks like it's called a whirlywird.
That's a diamond tufted.
I'm not sure.
Whirlywinds.
There's all kinds of sparrows. I only really know the house sparrow really good.
Wild. It's wild something.
I don't know.
No,
I'll do
it's
closer.
like 4 pounds.
Oh, shot.
White-throated.
White.
White-throated sparrow.
White throated.
White-throated sparrow.
Okay.
4 pounds
Yeah.
would be like.
Oh,
Yeah,
white
there's
throated.
a lot of different
What is
kinds
the
of
thing
sparrow.
in the corner there?
Which one?
Is that? It
Northern-
looks like Newton flubber. No.
This?
No, other
No,
side.
no,
This one?
Northern.
This is a northern flicker.
Flicker.
I like the head.
They're actually quite
Newton
pretty,
flubber.
northern flickers.
Actually.
The head looks cute.
They have a lot of pretty coloration. Alright, so here's a couple really common ones.
Robin.
Again,
Crow.
what's up in the, this one here?
Crow. American crow.
Not a crow.
Oh.
Ah, that's the one we were just talking
The
about.
gargle
They,
or
the
whatever.
two that look as,
The gargle.
grackle, close,
Gargoyle.
Oh.
grackle,
Sterling.
Gargoyle.
and the
Eastern Sterling.
European starling.
Close
So
enough.
close. Grackle and starling. And when you're looking at them up close, they do look different. This one's kind of iridescent.
The one looks like a crow.
And it does look kind of like a crow, but this one's also kind of an iridescent. It's got a purpley head a lot of times.
I don't see how people get it messed up.
Green at it.
You
They look
will when
completely
you're
different.
outside and you see them.
But by the
Because-
photo, they look
Right,
the exact
right.
same. Or they look different.
But the European starling has a yellow beak, the grackle has a black beak. And this one is
A robin.
a robin. The males usually have a much brighter
You ever watch
stomach.
Time?
It's called a breast. And then the females have more of a brown color. And this is a
Sparrow. House sparrow.
house sparrow. This one would be a male because the females are much more brown. Alright. Auditory. Listening to the bird call. Let me get my phone. I can play a couple bird calls
Yes,
for
this is
you.
what I want us to do. I was waiting for this, man.
You're waiting for the bird calls?
I
Let me
was.
get my phone. Okay.
Is this gonna be part of our test too?
Bird calls,
Are you
absolutely.
gonna
The
find
field
them on
test.
your phone?
So we'll what for the field test? What my phone to make them more clear. But I will try to find them outside first. So each call is unique to each species, and the easiest way to learn bird and frogs, because we might do frog calls, because we've already identified some frog calls, is to put words to the sound. So a robin, let me pull up a robin. I think the robin sounds kind of like it's saying, "Here I am."
Let Bryce draw a bird.
Oh wait, no, I want to draw a bird. Come on. Oh wait, how do I raise? Oh.
I think it sounds like I'm saying,
That's
"Here
a
I am."
mouse.
This is not a mouse, it's robin.
Okay.
And see, this is why I like the Merlin Bird app, because it gives you all these different songs. Some people think it sounds like it's saying "Pretty Bird."
Is that a Tweety bird?
Pretty bird, pretty bird.
Oh, that's what it's called?
No, this is a robin.
Oh.
This is all robin.
Okay.
I can
so
only pick up
it's not
good,
like
but I can't
saying
pick up
Tweety
pretty bird.
It's a robin.
But you can remember it however you want. If you think it sounds like Tweety Bird, then remember Tweety Bird.
Tweety bird.
Whatever helps you remember it.
Tweety bird.
Sounds like a bunch of squeaks.
Okay, well this one we've already learned, so let's see if you remember this one.
Tap the tip mouse.
Actually, that's a, it's not right out.
What is it?
I know, that was great.
Tap the tip mouse.
Oh my gosh.
We learned this one.
Tap the tip mouse.
Aaron's right.
Ah, dang it!
I've said it
See,
3
he did.
times.
He said it before we even,
I feel
before
like
I
it's
even played
usually,
it.
I feel like it's usually louder when we.
I'm amazing at
I mean, like
guessing.
faster. It's like a faster tone. Beta.
Peter. Okay, this is another common one in the area.
So,
We'll see if you can do this one.
Blue jay.
Not blue jay. Not a cardinal. It's a good guess though.
Finch.
Mhm.
Oh, I hear those all the time.
House
a
sparrow.
sparrow.
Not a sparrow.
Ah, it's a
Crow.
barn swallow.
No, it's not.
Tyler said barn swallow.
Not a barn swallow.
Eastern star. European starling.
No. They're very common here.
I know. I hear it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a dove, is
Not
it?
a dove.
No. What?
They're more pretty.
That
Crow.
sound awesome. That sounds
No.
like it's gonna tear my ears out.
Oh, is it the
Woodpecker?
Ron Galley?
What is it?
What's that shot doing?
Oh, that one was a weird call. That wasn't a good one. Okay. This is a red-ringed blackbird. Blackbird. Red-winged blackbird. It goes conclary. Conclary. Conclary.
What is it called?
Red-winged blackbird.
I'm gonna start listening to Dirty Turkeys. He's not listening to these. What are you doing? Stop making your stop sucking on your thumb.
I was not doing that.
Okay.
Gee.
We'll do another one.
Oh, it's a horned owl that makes that noise, I think.
What?
Oh, the tap the
Okay,
tip
this
mouse.
one's pretty easy.
Bryce
He's got the same bird. He's got the same
Is
bird.
he doing the same one?
What bird is it, Bryce?
Bryce, don't tell.
Alright.
Dove.
No!
Let me find the good call.
Is it a finch?
No.
Sparrow.
Let me find it.
That's right.
It makes a distinctive
Sparrow?
call.
A white-throated sparrow.
No.
Whoa! Whoa!
Oh, here,
Bryce, what are you
this is the
looking up?
distinctive call. Listen.
Cardinal.
No.
Is it a sparrow?
It says its
So it's a
Blue jay.
name. It's saying its name.
Blue jay.
Chickadee. There, chickadee.
I was gonna say that. Frickin'
Chickadee.
that is not what I
I
thought.
need something to slam.
The chicken is.
That does not sound like.
But it says this at the beginning screaming lots of
I'm
times.
gonna draw a chickadee.
It does that, and then it goes chickadee dee 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 dee.
It definitely is.
Sounds
We
like a
name that one
annoying
a
whistle.
whistler.
A whistler.
Yeah, let's rename it.
Oh my
Whistler.
god.
The whistler.
Alright, let's try another. Cardinal. Car alarm.
Wait,
Sounds like a car alarm.
Car alarm.
Cardinal is a
That's
car
right.
alarm.
That's the car alarm.
Cardinal. Okay.
Wait.
This one's pretty easy.
That one was the cat color.
This is Ike's favorite.
Blue jay.
Blue jay. I think it sounds like it's saying thief. Thief, thief.
Wait, I'm not done.
Do another one.
Do another one. This one I've heard around here pretty frequently. So this is another one you might hear.
Sparrow.
A sparrow.
I should have made it take off like 6 pages.
If I keep guessing, I'll find out.
Then an eastern bird.
It is an eastern. Eastern's in the name.
Eastern Starling.
Eastern, not eastern star. Eastern something.
Eastern bluebird.
Meadowlark.
Meadowlark. Eastern meadowlark.
No way.
Eastern meadowlark.
Bird.
Okay.
Are you baiting? You guys trying to like make bird calls together?
I hear that one a lot.
This one's super common.
I don't hear that.
Super common.
American robbery.
Not Robin. Because the Robin was like, pretty bird, here I am. This one's just chirpy. Just chirps.
It sounds like a
Red.
mouse. It's a mouse.
Just
Carolina
chirpy. Not Carolina Wren.
House.
House sparrow. It's a house sparrow. Okay, you want to do another?
Let's do an easy one that someone's heard of.
They're everywhere. Those
They don't
little
exist.
brown ones. They're
I don't
all
know.
I'm
over.
pretty sure they're just
Oh
like
my god, where were we here?
Alright, what about this one?
dinosaur. Dinosaur. It's
A
a
raven? Oh wait, that's a
Crow.
Not
pteranodon.
crow. Crows just are like, caw, caw.
Yeah, I got three. Did you sign up with the thing?
I don't know.
Pterodactyl.
That's kind of annoying.
Oh.
Cackle?
You have to sign your thing.
You know what? There's that one.
This is a grackle.
Wait,
You might have.
Someone make it
I can do my
Grackle.
They sound like they're eating grackle.
Notice that mine's
It might. Well, did you take the first?
No.
It sounds like a velociraptor.
A velociraptor.
What is
Whatever
it?
helps you remember it.
What was
Alright,
it?
we'll do one more.
Velocigrackle.
Wait, watch this.
Make it an easy one.
This is
Make it an easy one? We've done all the easy ones.
This is
Let us hear a crow.
They haven't done that easy.
They haven't been easy.
Bluebird.
black.
This one's got a lot going on.
You want?
Hold right here.
Is that northern flicker thing?
Sparrow.
Puddle around here.
This one's actually
That
European
one's
starling.
fighting another one.
That's a European starling.
That's just like a ferret.
It's got a lot
That's a
going on.
ferret.
Alright, so
Oh,
just some
okay.
practice. But as we identify things outside, I'll point more out to you.
Sorry.
Alright, bird calls, some bird call websites, some frog good list, but really the best thing I found for the frog calls is just going to YouTube and putting in the frog name and putting like American Toad call. And then it pulls up a video and you can see the frog and listen to the call at the same time. So that's, I mean, even though that's a pretty good list here, just going to YouTube and doing spring peeper call. That would be a good way to do that. So haven't really, again, found a good app for frogs, but the Merlin Bird ID app, that's really an amazing app. And then, of course, the Google Lens is a really good one, which we've talked about before.
And it's like squared like this.
It's hexagonal.
Alright, so here we have a choice. Would you guys like some time to work on your field guide, or do we move on with notes?
Field guide.
Notes.
No.
Notes?
Never mind notes.
Notes?
No.
Okay, moving on with
I
notes.
just want to write it.
How long is this next
Wait, is
section?
this thing like make
Section.
my handwriting better?
I mean, we can stop whenever.
Right.
We haven't really been keeping up with it anyways, so. Okay. So, now we talked about animal identification, now we're gonna talk about plant identification. Because we have to identify plants just as much as we're gonna identify animals in our outdoor adventures that we're gonna go on. I looked at the weather, it looks like Friday's gonna be our best day to go outside. So we'll most likely go out on Friday. It seems to be the less rainy and the warmest. So right now I'm anticipating we go out on Friday. And now that we have lots of things growing, we're really gonna focus on bird calls and frog calls, maybe catch some frogs and work at identifying them. I'm going to have you guys identifying more stuff and practicing so that we can work on our field guide. One of the things I do want us to do soon is I want us to do a quadrant sampling in a field, and we have to learn how to do that first before we can do that. I still want us to sample the outdoor classroom ponds. Last year we sampled the pond, if you're going down the path, we sampled, what is that, the South Pond? We didn't sample the Gross North Pond, so I kind of want to sample the Gross North Pond and see what kind of fish are in there. Anyway, the Google app, Google Lens, that's what I mean when I say sample it. We're gonna fish and sample and see what's in there.
Let's go.
Yeah. So, making sure that we have the Google Lens on our phones so we can identify the plants. We can use that while we are practicing, but we don't get to use that for our test. Again, memorizing a few key features and learning how to link the identification in our head and paying close attention to the location. Did we find this plant in the forest? Did we find it in a grassland? Did we find it next to a stream versus did we find it next to a road? If we found it next to a road, that means it's very good at living in a disturbed area, versus if we found it next to a stream, then it needs a lot of water to survive. I mean, think of like a willow tree, for instance. We often don't find a willow growing right in the middle of a field. It needs it next to a pond or a stream or something in order for a willow to grow. A dandelion can grow wherever it pleases because dandelions are excellent weeds. Same with those plantain things we talked about. They can grow just about anywhere. But other things need special conditions in order to grow. So we need to pay attention to where these plants are growing.
Mr. Cool. I think he is. Serious, why do you have a quote from Jerry Rice?
Where?
Right here. On the side down here.
I don't know. It's always been there.
It's a beautiful quote.
It is a beautiful quote.
Jerry Rice is a freaking stud. Stud football player.
Got a wonderful message.
And it's
It's
not
always
bad
been a
quote,
science
like they
room.
said.
Mr. Whiting used to be the old biology teacher.
No, it was Miss Warner, buddy.
Before Warner is Whiting.
I think she's the one that put this in here. That in there. Who's Mr. Whiting?
He was the old low credit
He used to
biology
be
teacher.
Yeah, he just
He was here whenever I was in freshman.
So yeah.
He was really nice.
Oh, there's Miss Warner. You can hear her from a mile away.
I guess you're allowed to say things like that. She's your aunt, but she's your aunt, so you should be nice to her.
Well, she is just a very loud laugh. Very loud.
All the more reason to be nice to her. She's your aunt.
You play ball?
All right. So this is a Google Classroom, but it gives you some tips for identifying different kinds of trees. You can look at the leaves, and I've been trying to teach you parts of that on our walks. But that's not the only thing you can identify. Looking at the bark of the tree, these are called fruits. The things that they drop that has seeds in them, the acorn of an oak is called a fruit. The walnut is called a fruit. It's not a, I mean, that's just what, they call it the fruit. I don't know why. But even the nuts and things, those are called the fruits of the tree. So, that is another way you can identify what a tree is. Looking at the shape, because each tree has a distinctive shape. Some of them have this kind of more bell shape. Some of them have branches lower to the ground. Some of them have branches higher up. The shape of the tree overall is going to be distinctive for each species. So this is just kind of a really nice side-by-side, very brief comparison. This would actually be a really nice way to make your field guide. It's got a leaf, it's got the fruit, it's got the bark, it's got the overall what the tree looks like. So it's a very detailed arrangement of what a tree would look like.
And that's all on Google Classroom.
Yep, this one is. Here are some really common leaves that you would be likely to find in Missouri. Now, there are things called compound leaves. This is an example of a compound leaf. This is leaflets that are on a compound leaf. So this whole thing is a leaf, and these are leaflets. You have to follow it back to the stick that is on, so imagine a stick here. A honeysuckle, not honeysuckle, honey locust, that's the word, honey locust. A locust tree would be a good example that has compound leaves. Their leaves look like this, and it's attached to a stick or a branch. And they have these compound leaves with the leaflets. So there are trees, walnut is another example that has a compound leaf. And so there are various trees out there that have these compound leaves. Then we have some that are simple leaves, which are what these are. We've already mentioned a little bit about walnut and oak. Oak versus maples, and red oak versus white oak. And we've been teaching you how to identify things like cottonwood. And then these are maple leaves. This is a tulip tree. One of my neighbors has a tulip tree, and I've been trying to get the tulip tree to grow in my yard. It hasn't been successful yet. I keep finding baby tulip trees growing where they're not supposed to, so I keep trying to dig them up and then grow them in my house to transplant them. Hasn't been successful yet. The baby tulip trees need to grow where they're supposed to, because I think tulip trees are beautiful. But I'm working on that. Sycamore trees, this is a sugar gum tree. They leave those pokey things on the ground, the really spiky ones that really kind of kill your feet when you walk on them. That's this one. But the leaves are pretty, they're kind of this star shape. So it's not too difficult to identify leaves once you learn their shape, but it is a little harder to identify the leaves or the tree when there's no leaves on it. One of the classes I took for my degree in wildlife ecology was called local flora. My final was identifying sticks. They had sticks, and I had to identify the stick. So, yes.
Whenever we do this like field test, are we gonna be like, is there gonna be like options to choose from, or are we just gonna have to like know?
You have to know. That's why your field guide's really important.
So the field guide, needs to just relate to stuff around this area. Just like
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Alright, and we can use that while we're taking our field test.
On your field test, not the written, like, not the test. But yeah, so my final in that class was we had a stick and we had to identify the sticks and we had to look at like the little buds and the leaf scars and we had to look at, we had to identify the sticks. It was a very hard final.
Okay.
I did not like my stick final. I passed it, but I didn't like it.
You don't like finals, we don't like finals, we should just not have any.
No, but see, the problem is I had to do them, so you have to suffer like I suffer. We
Don't
all
do
must
that.
suffer together.
Gandhi
Alright.
says an eye for an eye makes the world go blind. Don't do it.
Gandhi was not.
Now there are other types of trees like evergreen trees. These are called coniferous trees, and there are some that are cedars where the leaves are more scaly, and then there are some where the leaves are more pokey. The needles could be very long, or the needles could be short, like the Christmas tree is short. So we can have spruce, or we can have pine, or we can have cedars, or we can have more of the scaly kind of variety. And a lot of it is based, like I told you guys when we were outside before, you pull one of the needles off and you count how many are in a cluster, and that gives you a hint as to what kind of tree it is. I know there is a tree out front here that I believe the needles are in a cluster of 5, whereas if you go across the street, the needles are in a cluster of, I think, 2. And so that makes the trees different species just based on the cluster of needles that they have. This is an example of a leaf scar. So when you pull the leaf off, it leaves a leaf scar. This was how I had my stick identification test, was looking at leaf scars and the shape that the leaf leaves behind. So there are other hints that you can use looking at the leaf scar, looking at the arrangement. Are the leaves, it's called opposite, so is there a leaf on this side and a leaf automatically opposite? Or are they alternating? Is there one over here and then one down here and then one down here and one down? Do they alternate, or is it this one here, and then one right here, and then one right here? Are they opposite each other, or are they alternating in kind of a zigzag pattern? So how are the leaves arranged? Alternate or opposite? Do they have flowers on them? Do they smell? Is there a distinctive smell? If you've been around a walnut tree, walnuts have a very distinctive smell to their tree. In fact, walnuts actually poison the ground around them so that other plants won't grow near them. They create this toxin in the soil so that other plants won't grow by them and they don't have to compete. Do they have roots, or do they have a tuber? A tuber will allow them to remain dormant through the winter and then grow again in the springtime. So these are all like little hints that you can use to help you identify a plant when you're out in the field. Onion plants. We all can identify an onion plant because it has a very distinctive smell. There is the mint family. You can identify mints because they actually have a square stem. Mint
smells like
and
mint.
catnip. Well, it does. But you can, if you feel the stem, it's square. Catnip and mint have a square stem. So see, all these little tips and tricks, if you remember them, it'll help you identify things. Last night I went to Tractor Supply because I had to get some pet food, and I came back with a bunch of plants, and my daughter gave me this look, and she's like, "Mother, what did you do?" I was like, "But I needed a lavender plant, and I needed some more peppermint plants," and she's like, "Mother, why did you get more plants?" I'm like, "But I needed them. They were calling me." No, they weren't, Mother.
True.
Lucky facts.
But lavender is so nice smelling. Really enjoy
Sure.
lavender on the patio.
If I
And
need something
then,
nice smelling, I go to what is it, White Barn? Give me some good candles.
But they also had citronelle plants, which are great for keeping mosquitoes away. So I got some citronelle plants too.
Do you know what's even better at smelling?
Hmm.
Financial security for not buying a bunch of plants.
They were
That's gotta be
$12.
like
It's not like it was that expensive.
you calling it for?
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I mean, $12 for 3 of them.
Okay, okay.
See? I
Alright.
mean, they
Deal
weren't,
hunting.
they weren't expensive. I can afford $12 for 3 plants. And enjoy my beautiful lavender smell.
So we're peeing true.
Alright, so here are some examples. This is phlox. You'll probably see this one around here. These are plantain. These are common ones that you've seen all the time. Plantain is actually quite useful and helpful. I know I've pointed this out before. This is kind of considered a weed, but this is plantain minor with the longer skinny leaves, and this is plantain major with the bigger broader leaves. Both of these are edible, and both of these can be used in medicinal purposes. This is called Queen Anne's lace. You've probably seen this before. Also known as wild carrot, I believe. And this is chicory, which is another type that could be eaten. And it is found a lot on the side of roads. It is a pretty hardy plant that can survive in disturbed conditions. A lot of ones that do well in fields. This is a lot, you can find these in yards all over. You step outside, you usually see the 2 plantain ones. I pick these sometimes for Liz. Liz is kind of picky though. He doesn't really like to eat the plantain, even though they're healthy for you, Liz. He doesn't really eat the plantain.
Judge him. Judge Liz.
Alright, other things to know, many plants are edible, like the plantain, and also dandelions. Dandelions have that edible property. I know we've mentioned that before too. And many plants have medicinal properties. The chicory is also medicinal. Chicory can be made into tea. Dandelions can be used in salad or made into tea. Plantain is mostly for poultices, which is you mush it up and then you pack it onto a wound and it draws out infection. Plants are important for shelter and food for animals and people. And of course, pollinators are vital for the success of plants, bees especially, but other things like bats and moths and flies. And seed dispersals help move the seeds around. Ooh, there's so many fun types of dispersals. I think we talk about them. Some seed dispersals explode outward very violently. Wind, animal, water, and explosion. I think we talk about the explosion because that's just cool and fun that the seed explodes.
What is this thing here? So then I'll be your house. Right. You look so dumb. That was 2 years ago. 2022. Oh my god.
Well, are we supposed to know stuff
Are
on
you
non-edible
petite
plants?
prince? Petite little
Well,
man.
I mean, you really shouldn't eat stuff outside unless you know for sure that it is
Well,
edible.
I guess we'll know which one it is if we taste them all.
Don't.
Baby grill.
You can eat dandelion leaves if you know it hasn't been sprayed by pesticides. You can eat plantain because I can positively identify that for you. And I know that that's not dangerous.
I can eat onions.
I mean, yes, I suppose you can.
Oh yeah.
So
Make
we're
you
eating
smell
onions.
oniony for the rest of the day.
You know?
I think we will stop there for today. That's a good place to stop. We can talk about exploding seeds later. Oh, it's a video about
I've already seen this Clash Royale himself.
things. We can watch the video tomorrow. That's a good place to stop.
I don't think it even gets started. I swear, looking at them.
Check this out.
Yeah,